Welcome to Rucks, Rules and Oval Balls. That's right, it's the fans' favourite rugby podcast back once again with some of the fans' favourite rugby content with the fans' favourite rugby content providers in myself, Dave, joined by Rory. As always, Rory, you know what to do. Say hello to the listener.
Hello, listeners. Hello. Apologies for David calling us content providers.
Well, how are you,
David?
How would you describe us, Rory?
Zeitgeist creators.
Okay. I can get on board. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, Rory. Very well. What news do I have? I don't have anything particularly interesting to provide in the banter section, Rory. I just know that there's a certain rugby club in the deep dark areas of Essex that have had a double winning weekend, and I know you're desperate to talk about a successful weekend for those at Westcliff.
Yeah, it's two big dubs on Saturday for Westcliff. Massive day it was.
Yeah.
So the ones beating Medway at home. We lost away at Medway in the first game of the season, and we needed to win this one because it was still not confirmed that we were going to stay up. And thank you to the RFU for creating the most over-convoluted system of relegation and promotion, because we still aren't confirmed we're going to go up or stay off, because we now have a playoff against Medway, which if we lose would result in another playoff against probably HAC, the Honourable Artillery Company. And at that point, we'll know whether or not we're in the same league next year. But if we beat Medway, I believe we're still up, although I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Right. Okay.
In lieu of the Papa John's Cup that the RFU have held for the last couple of years, which was basically a national cup competition at the end of the season, which resulted in a finals day at Twickenham, they've instead created a series of unfathomable playoffs that, I mean, honestly, it's like up to 4 places up from the bottom there's some sort of playoff, and no one quite understands it, but long and the short of it is we've got another game against Medway at home, which we hope to win, and that will keep us up.
Okay, fantastic. And you're obviously the team that you are captain of, the Twos.
My beloved Lions.
Your beloved Lions.
Away at Chelmsford, second in the table, playing on a pitch that was about a 45-degree angle and had all the cushion of a car park.
Fantastic.
Really fun game to play, and tough old game, actually. We did come out, in the end, we came out sort of convincing winners, 50 points to 26.
Lovely.
Going downhill in the first half, we were 31-7 up at half-time, I think. Chelmsford came back with 3 quick tries in the first 10 minutes of the second half when we only had 16 players, so we were a bit out on our feet by quite early on. Managed to grind them into a set-piece game. The old front row union knocked their heads together and thought, right, we know how to grind this game out. Won some penalties, got up the other end of the pitch and scored some really good tries. But just a really, really good, tough game against second in the table. We are now, this weekend, we were playing our playoff semi-final to win the league overall against Wanstead at home, hopefully with a final to come, followed by the cup final the week after.
Oh, a couple of big weeks.
You know, yours truly hoping to come bearing a couple of trophies at some point. And in even more striking news, David, your boy here came away with some serious war wounds.
Oh, what happened? Actually, no, I did spot a picture on your socials, Rory. What happened? Yeah,
lots of sympathy from the listeners, please. So, on top of having very little skin left on my arms and legs, in an act of sheer violence, one of the Chelmsford lads decided to go for the old vertical stamp on the head.
Right, he must be a fan of one of the rival podcasts.
Must be, yeah. I mean, he listens to Ben Young's probably.
Yeah, that's like so.
Bastards. I think you can catch a little bit of the extra cauliflower at the top of the ear and back of the neck there. But yes, he was summarily dealt with by a teammate who I won't name, who was then summarily dealt with by the referee. Fortunately, the Bods got their heads together after the game, and discussion between referees and committee members, we all came out with the correct call that No further action needed on either side. Rugby, it was still play on. So
Very good.
all scrubbed and whitewashed. But no, I came away with
memories. You came away with memories, Rory.
Yeah. I don't remember being stamped on in the head. I mean, a proper vicious vertical stamp downwards. It wasn't a rucking motion. It was just a straight up stamp.
Well, you know, it's obviously you must have done something. I imagine it's pure jealousy of talent, and maybe
it was either my dancing through the defensive line with ball in hand,
Yeah,
or it was me grabbing onto his leg as he was trying to get away from the ruck.
Okay, understood. Picture painted.
No smoke without fire.
You're not blameless.
I'm not blameless. I don't know that I deserve the full stamp to the head, but I'm certainly not blameless, and I'll cop that one.
No.
But,
well, there's nothing like a bit of rugby pitch, but justice, because it doesn't feel like it's not fair justice, but you know,
vigilantism. I think.
Yeah, it all got sorted out in the end, and
look.
I
came away with an ear leaking blood for several hours, and he came away with a nose 2 foot wide across his face.
Well, that feels fair.
Nature abhors a vacuum, and things were dealt with by natural laws.
Well, you know, I'm just glad to hear that there was swift justice then, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, swift justice was dealt out, but a good bit of biff.
Oh, well, that's good old grassroots rugby for you, Rory. Also, actually, it does remind me. It doesn't remind me at all. But has there been any feedback from any of your Welsh listeners around our apology last week around butchering the Welsh language? And you know,
we're on notice to watch our backs in Newport. But to be fair, that is general advice if you're ever in Newport.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like new advice to me. That feels like it's just...
Also in Merthyr, Ebervale, anywhere in the Gwyndraith Valley. But that's actually irrelevant to the pronunciation. That's just general travel advice from the Home Office.
Yeah, and I think that's been in place since we started the podcast, if I'm honest. But it's good to know. It's good to know. Yeah. Things haven't got worse. I'll take note of that. And things.
No. International relations across the Severn River have not deteriorated further.
Fantastic.
We've got JD Vance in there sorting it all out.
Oh, good. Thank God for that. I know that's all. We're creeping into the rest is politics there. Let's not do that. Well, I think for this podcast, Rory, to bring us back to the reason we're here together, we're going to do a little bit around some Prem transfer stuff to start off with, and then we're going to move into the Champions Cup quarterfinals. Yes, the listener is clamouring for it. We're going to do another round of What a Ranker. I know you're dying to hear another round of it. Sure. And then we'll finish off talking about the Red Roses opener in the Women's Six Nations. Yeah. I'm content with that running order, Rory. I'm going to ask you if you are, but you have to say yes. But you happy with that running order?
Yes.
Thank you for obliging. So starting off with not news, kind of news. It is news. Rugby transfers. We talk about it quite a lot over the last few months or so. The picture has been painting over the last few months about where these clubs have been recruiting, strengthening, losing players. Obviously, the latest big name being George Furbank confirming the worst kept secret in rugby transfer, kind of rumour mills of his move to Harlequins from Northampton. The latest rumours coming out of the Red Bull rumour machine being their 20th signing being Elizalde, heading over there from Bristol. Yeah. But I think it begs the question, it does feel like the whole transfer thing, rumour mill, whatever you call it, the transfer machine is slowing down a smidge. What clubs have kind of finished business? What clubs still have huge gaping holes that need to be filled? What sort of moves are we still expecting to be made between now and the start of next season, if any at all?
Well, I know Gloucester are still in the market for a tight head.
Yes, because I think you were in for Sclavy, weren't you? But he's gone to Leicester. Yeah,
so I know that's still in the offing. I don't know if that's a replacement for maybe Laulala, maybe Jamal's thinking of retiring. But that's one I do know. That's been confirmed by Skivs. Gut feel is Bristol may still need to do a bit of business. They're losing a few now. I think I would be surprised if there weren't more moves by Harlequins.
Their fans have been screaming and shouting that, yes, it's lovely getting Furbank, but we still need some props and a hooker.
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah.
Quins do have the strength of a very good academy, and with the likes of Elliot Williams coming through, maybe they think those players can start bridging that gap. But gut feel is they probably still need to do a bit of business, probably a bit of cycling some players out who have not impressed since signing would be my my gut feel. Saracens have done most of their business. They did a bit of re-signing, mostly re-signing their England stars.
Yeah.
Obviously, brought in Alfie Barbery's been the big headline signing, I suppose.
Yeah. I think that's the one they needed. They needed to replace Willis, and I think they got as close to replacing Willis as you could do within an EQT system.
Without resurrecting Henry Tuolangi, who obviously isn't dead. I'd be amazed if Sale weren't still shopping.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're definitely shopping around for a scrum half. I saw links to Xavier Rowe and Ambrose Papier, two names that I've seen banded around because obviously they need to replace Rafi Quirk. I mean they make sense. I wouldn't be surprised to see more than a few relative unknown South Africans turn up in the Prem over the next few weeks. Outside of that, doesn't sound like Bath have got a lot more room to play with. On Bath, it definitely feels like that we know that they are kind of operating at the cap, and there's not many going out, so they can't really bring many in. It's just whether they do. I don't know. Obviously, they're bringing Duprier in. I don't know if he's a direct replacement for Barbary or not.
He must be.
He must.
I don't. Well, they certainly don't have. They can't have the wage room to bring in someone else to fill in that Barbary role. They wouldn't be able to get someone for the quality
But there is
the money they've got available.
The Thomas Dutoy gap being created, which I imagine is quite a sizable salary gap.
It will be, but so much of that will be taken up by the way they've structured their contracts to increase up to what they think will be the.
And they've done a lot of re-signings, haven't they? They've done a lot of re-signings.
Yeah. So I don't expect much more. Exeter may make a few more moves. I wonder if they'll try and pull the same trick they did this season, try and pick up some good ones out of Super Rugby Pacific when that season ends.
And there was that news that I saw earlier today about apparently Moana Pacifica folding within Super Rugby. So whether that releases some players,
so that could spring some interesting signings. The thing is, at this point of the season, most of the moves are confirmed because most of the contracts have now been negotiated and finalised. There are very few contracts still dwindling down that don't have actions in place for next season. So that you won't see too many more. People will be shopping. People will be smart shopping to try and do a bit of money ball. Probably in something like the Curry Cup in South Africa.
Or maybe in the Champ,
maybe the Champ if they can find some gems. But I'm not expecting loads more headline grabbing signings.
I think from Northampton, I think it's been kind of semi-confirmed that they're only looking for one more player, and they're looking in the centre position, which I don't know is where the need is, but that's where they've said they're looking.
I would have thought they just want an auxiliary back. You get so many weird injury lists in Northampton. Just want someone who can play anywhere between sort of 10 and 15, don't you?
We just need to reincarnate James Wilson for anyone who remembers him. He basically did play between 10 and 15 and was pretty handy in most positions.
Tom May, that's who you want.
A Tom May, a James Wilson, those sorts of players. I think that's who they're looking for. Whether they found it or not, I don't know. I haven't got any names for you, unfortunately. It's all very quiet. But, it is interesting. Obviously, gutting for George Furbank to be kind of confirmed at Harlequins, but they've treated us by kind of warming us to this news for about 3 months now because it's kind of been known about for so long that I kind of...
Yeah, and it seemed to be something along the lines of either Northampton weren't willing to give him a long enough contract or he felt shortchanging him.
So the story is, again, I don't have an official source to this, but the story is that Saints only offered him a 1-year contract extension, and that's in line with their policy that they have that anyone over the age of 30, they don't offer any more than a 1-year contract. I think it's only happened a couple of times. I think Dylan Hartley's like an exception they made for, I think Courtney Laws is like one of his first renewals was an exception. But outside of that, they stick to that policy. And obviously, Furbank's wanting a bit more security, wanting a bit more, longevity to his contract. Like, I can understand that. And Quins were happy to offer him kind of either matching or more salary that Northampton are offering at the moment.
I think he's a great signing for Quins. If they can get a pack that can compete, Marcus Smith and George Furbank is potentially a lethal 10-15.
Oh, absolutely, and they're getting Furbank in his absolute prime. Like we'll talk about it in a bit, I'm sure, but he is a player who, when he's on the pitch, he elevates people around him, and he is a very, very good player. The only question mark around him is just his injury record, but I'm sure due diligence has been done to make sure there's no concerns there. But yeah, from a Northampton fans' perspective, it's frustrating, but you kind of have to understand it with all the re-signings we have to do and the profile of that Saints team. Like, you can't keep everyone. Can't keep them all. You can't keep them all.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We'll just have to wait for the next cab off the rank, which is very much the approach that's employed by Northampton. It's relying on that academy, and it's worked to this point, so why change it? As horrible as it's going to be, next season I have to watch Courtney Laws in a Sale Shark shirt and George Furbank in a Harlequins shirt. It's just not fair. It's just not fair, Rory.
It's doubly hard because Quinn's shirts are often horrible.
Yes, yeah. I wonder how many lightning bolts are going to be on it this year or next year.
Or blood splatter.
Yeah, who knows what they'll go. Maybe they'll, I don't know, maybe they'll use like teardrops or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Can't wait for the summer kit drop and we can tear it apart then. But that's enough pontificating around Gallagher Prem transfers, I think, Rory. I think we've covered enough ground in that space.
Should we get into the meat and potatoes?
Let's get into the meat and potatoes. And the meat and potatoes this week is the Champions Cup quarterfinals. And it kicked off this Friday at the Rec between Bath and Northampton Saints. Yours truly was there, absorbing the atmosphere, absorbing the event, the occasion, and
absorbing the Guinness.
No, I was being well behaved. I know it's a disappointment to everyone, but I have a few things to talk about around the occasion. I have a fair few things to talk about around the game itself, Rory. But maybe I'll invite you to kind of give your probably more neutral perspective before I give what you will call a one-eyed Saints fan, completely biased opinion.
Yeah. Well, we await to hear the party line from a ostensibly a neutral perspective on this one. I thought this was a fabulous game to watch from an entertainment perspective. Two teams packed full of quality, some quite contrasting styles, but both able to kind of mix it in each other's style. Northampton aren't necessarily afraid of the grunt work, and Bath can play some lovely rugby when they want to as well. And I think you saw all those kind of those elements come through in this game. I think I've no doubt that you will have some criticisms reserved for some of Bath's style in this game in contrast to Northampton, and I wait to hear it. But I actually thought they played some really nice stuff at times. My overarching opinion is that Saints are probably unlucky, particularly the Pollock bin at the end shouldn't have been a bin. I think they called it right on comms. Carrera sealed off. It should have gone the other way as a pen, and that but was probably the game.
Even if Carreras didn't go off his feet, why is he getting yellow carded? He got given one warning to take his hands off, and he did. Yeah. Carry on. So
I would say that I think Northampton were just about unlucky, but
also our own worst enemies.
Also their own worst enemies, and you can easily make the case that Bath probably were the right winner in the end. I think, particularly if you're a Bath fan, I'm sure you would. From
our creative director would agree.
Yeah. CD is a firm believer that Bath deserved it, but just to call out some moments. Dingwall's try on 6 minutes, just flooding up the pitch from the scrum to the line out, just some amazing hands and running lines on show. Yeah. Absolutely Northampton at their absolute best off the back of that line out.
The one-handed scoop from McParland was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is one of the. I mean, Andy Good called it, but that is the sort of thing that had you seen Dupont do it, it goes straight to the top of the highlight reel. It was a phenomenal bit of skill. I'd also call out the Lockett try. On the wing, the interplay in that, particularly from Fischetti, lovely little sort of the pullback, beautiful. That's a really, really good try and good identification from Finn Smith to find Lockett on the wing. Nicely finished by the big man. Finn Russell's footballing skills off the back of a line out. Saints are unlucky. They nearly nick Bath's line out, which was really shaky. I was surprised.
That's not rung through from my observations.
Doesn't ring true to me. No. Doesn't ring true, but that's what they said on the comms. But I mean, it was shaky in this game.
It was, yeah.
Saints tipped the ball up and Russell's managed to basically dribble it through, I think it's Finn Smith's legs, and it gives it sort of left, right, left, dots it down. Really nice bit of skill.
Some fortunate ball bouncers.
You make your own luck. I think at some point when Finn Russell keeps doing things like this, we just have to get it into our heads that he does mean to do it. Another lovely bit of skill again for Arundel's try, the sort of double pump on the pass just to give him enough space to go in. It's off first phase. Saints probably should do better, but Russell really makes that try.
Defense, anything, but yeah.
Ben Spencer nearly scored. It ends up with Archie getting charged down in the backfield, and somehow they contrive not to score it in the corner. Ben Spencer throwing the offload when he should have dotted down. But it was just a lovely, mad bit of sequence, but really good pressure from Bath. I think on balance, Saints scored the more entertaining tries, but there's something to be said for the efficiency of Bath. I think the more I watch it, and I'm more than happy to acquiesce on the idea that this is entertaining rugby from a spectacle point of view. But there is something annoyingly impressive by Bath's ability to make the forwards go 15, 20, 25, 30 phases, just pick and go, just creating that pressure.
As I described it on my socials as just brilliantly boring.
It is, but from where I was watching it, I wasn't in the ground. The tension of trying to see, look, is Pollock going to be able to find a moment to jackal? Is Kemeny getting over it? Can they knock them back? He's nearly isolated. That's great rucking. It's exciting in its own way, just for the sheer physicality of it. And it ends with they score a couple of really good tries off the back of creating that kind of pressure. I don't think I would describe Van Veek's try as try of the season, but there is something about that kind of physical pressure that Bath are able to put on you that just
it's impressive.
It does just sort of absorb me. Look, I wouldn't begrudge you calling foul on Pollock decision. I don't think the Van der Mesch decision was incorrect.
Oh no! Absolutely, that's 100% the right decision. I was in line for his offside, and it was just so lazy from him that and Bath are efficient. He gets binned, and a minute later, Tuipulotu goes over in a line-out maul. Yeah,
good teams seize the moment. Bath really do manage that. So all in all, I'd say Bath probably just edged it just on ruthless efficiency, but a hell of a game to watch.
Yeah, I would absolutely concede it was a fantastic advert for Prem Rugby, I'd say. I think it was a absolutely, genuinely fantastic game of rugby for someone to watch from a neutral perspective, wanting to know what Prem Rugby was all about. It had everything that Prem Rugby is about, because as you say, it had two contrasting styles showing how those two contrasting styles can be effective and work against each other and create a spectacle that can be really enjoyable to watch. One thing I want to say around Bath, just the ground, the stadium, the atmosphere, it was fantastic in the second half, mainly because they enjoyed, cheering off Pollock's yellow card and all that. It was the loudest you hear them the entire day. I just found it really bizarre. At the start of the game, there was no atmosphere. In the start of you go to Kingsholm and they announce the team sheet, there's always a cheer after every name that's shouted off the Gloucester team sheet. It's tumbleweed at the Rec when they're announcing the Bath team. And then the players just stroll out to no announcement, nothing. And they're on the pitch. And it's just a bizarre feeling. And it's a very odd atmosphere.
They're very reserved in these provincial towns, David.
Well, seemingly so. And it's frustrating because you see the atmosphere at the end of the game when it was close, and it was a really good atmosphere. So does it just take adversity and a little bit of conflict to get Bath fans up out of their seat? Because they didn't seem that interested at the start of the game. And maybe that accounted for Bath's really bad start. I don't know, because it didn't feel like the crowd was behind them in any way, shape or form. It took Saints to get 28 points in the lead, wherever it was, on 21 points in the lead for them to wake up. So something for Bath fans to think about there, I think.
Yeah, look, we've always thought they're a bad bunch.
Yeah. I like going there. I like talking to the fans when I'm there, but they don't seem to like us online. But that's fine. As long as the creative director approves, I'm happy. Few observations from me on the game. I think from a Northampton perspective, there's like 4 moments that really just tipped it the wrong way for us. I'm not going to dwell on Andrew Brace blatantly getting a wrong call on the Pollock yellow card. We've spoken about that already. Enough people are going to talk about that. I'm not going to spend too long talking about that. I think Ben Smith missing touch for the penalty just before half-time.
Yeah.
Gave the ball back to Bath. They managed to score, get more points. We were in a position where we could have put more pressure and put an even bigger difference on the scoreboard. That felt significant. Just after half-time, Archie McParland took a quick tap penalty. I'm not saying that was the wrong decision, but the support didn't go with him, wasn't on the same page, and then we ended up turning over. They then kicked the ball into the corner and then score from a line-out. If we'd just kind of been a bit more patient and maybe either got on the same page as McParland and kind of supported him so he didn't give away the penalty, or if we just took a breath and kicked into the corner, it might have been a better decision. But it just handed momentum straight back to them, where in the second half, Northampton Saints just didn't have momentum at all. Thirdly, the discipline from Van der Mescht. It's going to feel like I'm calling out Van der Mescht because there's basically 2 moments from him that I'm going to say here, but I also thought he had a very good game. So that being really lazy offside, that got him the yellow card for the kind of accumulation of penalties. I was in line with it. It was just pure laziness. And I'm sure when he's looking back at the video, he'll hold his hands up that he just was not getting on. He just went offside and stayed offside and didn't do anything about it. And then fourthly, there was a maul from a line out, and he just did such a lazy entrance to the left-hand side. Halfway up the maul, and it just gifted Bath a penalty at a really crucial point in the game. And I think this showed why Van der Mescht is often kind of pulled off around the 50-55 minute mark, because this was when he had to come on for Lockett, who had to go off for HIA. And I think this is why you see he's not a very often 80-minute player, because, well, he's 140 kilograms and he's a unit. Like, it's fair play. Like, it's hard to run around for 80 minutes and not be gassed. So, like, I'm not...
Go test to that.
Yeah, so I'm not going to dig it out for it. But I think those are kind of 4 crucial moments that led to the position where Bath were able to get that final score and see out the win. I agree. Like, well, I've been very vocal.
I'd like to throw one more out there to you, David, and this is it's somewhere in this around the 65th minute. Finn Smith very nearly pulled off a brilliant crossfield to slide home, and it just overcooked.
Yeah.
And it would have been, I think at that moment, that would have put you more than a score ahead.
Yeah. So that's probably fair. I think that's just kind of that's a moment that could have been rather than a moment that cost us.
That's fair.
And I just think in the second half, our old enemy discipline just came back to haunt us. We were caught offside.
It's a bit of season, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's always the offside line. Like we seem to get pinged for offside more than any other club, and like I can't argue. Like the Van der Mescht one, he was blatantly offside, and like we do play a bit of a rush defence, so it's going to happen. It is very frustrating because it just always seems to happen when we're under the pump, and we just don't seem to be able to keep our heads when we're on our own try line, and we just give away penalties. And the second you're giving advantage to Finn Russell, he's either going to pull off something magnificent, or he's just going to okay, we'll take the penalty and pump you in the corner, and we'll score from a line-out maul. And that's what happened. It's frustrating, but, you know, I can still walk away from that thinking Northampton Saints, yeah, they played the more entertaining rugby. I still stand by Bath being an incredibly boring team in the sense of it is predictable. There's nothing fancy about the way they do it. It's very effective. It works very well, and it's going to be very successful for them, probably for the next 5 to 10 years. But I still think it's boring. But hey, it's because I'm a Saints fan and I'm used to the fast, flary, exciting stuff. Like if my team that I supported was doing what Bath are doing and winning every week, I'd think it's fantastic. So like I say it, but it is more of a compliment than a criticism. But it probably sounds more like a criticism, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think it's the venom in your voice that makes it sound like a criticism.
It is. It's very boring though.
It can be. I think to give Bath some of their due, and it's not something I'm inclined to do, as you know.
They're very, very, very good at it.
But also they are perfectly capable of scoring some brilliant tries. I mean, think back to last week, the Ben Spence try that went end to end from the try line.
There's always an exception to the rule, Rory.
No, look. What my point being, Bath are good enough to have that extra gear. I think my challenge to Bath would be: are they brave enough to go into that extra gear against the best teams in the competition from the off, so they don't have to pull off this kind of comeback performance? You know, let's not forget who they've got in the next round away.
Oh yeah, good luck. That's another reason why I'm not that upset that we didn't win, because there's no chance we're winning that.
It feels like a hiding to nothing.
Yeah.
Can you grind out a game like that? I don't think you can against Bordeaux. I think you have to try and match them toe to toe.
But maybe it comes from a place of frustration, because Bath have arguably one of the most exciting 10s in world rugby. Yeah. And how often have we said that he just doesn't seem to be on it or at it with Bath this season? I think it's because he knows he doesn't need to do anything. Like, his job is literally, I could turn up and do his job. I just kick into the corner for penalties. Like, he doesn't have to do anything spectacular. So you're
notoriously good at kicking to the corner.
Oh, it's like no one else. Like, best kicker in the world.
A leg like a ham hock.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that Finn Russell has a bit of a cushy ride at Bath, and that's
he has got an armchair ride because they've got such a good pack.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's wasted. It's wasted.
But what's your contention? They should have a slightly weaker pack and challenge Finn Russell more.
I'm just saying that if you're going to pay £1 million to Finn Russell every single week, wouldn't you want to see him doing some more rugby? Like, this is why you always
would claim that
they haven't won anything.
A player like Finn Russell could have scored the try that he did. Maybe not many other 10s might put in Arundel the way that he did. Look,
that Arundel try was just a basic play. Let's face it, like most 10s could pull that off, and his try was a touch fortunate. So I'm not going to say that's world class skill. I'd say
so. It's a basic play to tear through Northampton's defence on first phase off a scrum.
Yes, that was poor defence more so than creativity.
I think you're being a little unkind on this kind of subtle skills on show by Russell to create space. It is poor defence.
It's just a pump. It's just a pump and go. Like, it's nothing earth shattering. Like,
look, far be it from me.
You're telling me other 10s can't do that.
You don't have the abilities of a world class fly half, David. I've seen.
No. I'm saying you telling me that other fly halves are incapable of doing a pump and a pass. Like,
I'm saying a lot of fly halves haven't done that against Saints. And they haven't done it in a quarterfinal of European Cup. What I'm saying is, you know, in this game, he's scored one and assisted one, and he's kicked another 13 points. So he's got about 40% of all of their points in this game. The Tuipulotu line out more, so he comes from his kick to the corner. You know, you can say that any fly half can do it. You know, I've watched Marcus Smith miss the corner for about 90% of his attempts, and he's another world class fly half. I think it's a bit reductionist on his role, because yes, he's got an armchair ride behind that pack, but you could also say that pack's got an armchair ride being directed around the field by Finn Russell. You know, these are all elements towards a successful gameplay. You know, and I'm really frustrated here, David, because you're forcing me into a position where I have to defend Bath, and I don't want to be that guy.
I say, we've spent all season saying
you can reduce the roll down a bit too much there.
But we've been saying all season that Finn Russell's barely put in a performance above a 6 out of 10.
No, he's played poorly at times this season. Yeah. I just don't think this is one of those occasions.
No, but I just don't think. I think I say it because I think Bath could be a really exciting team to watch with the players they have at their disposal, and they choose not to. It is an active choice because of the pack they got and the bench they've got. I would rather see them play more exciting brand rugby, but they don't have to. They don't need to do that, but they've got the players to do it. They've got the best 10 in the world potentially to do it, and they don't. And it's frustrating because I would rather see that than seeing the boring stuff that we see a lot more
Yeah.
of. That's my
But as a
point.
Bath fan, would you rather have
Oh.
be the Prem champions, be in the semi-final of this cup, and in line to potentially regain the Prem?
I completely get that point of view, and if you are a Bath fan and you're winning week in week out, you couldn't care less. But as someone trying to look at it from a point of view of Prem rugby product and things like that, I would love to see Bath rugby full flow, Finn Russell putting in the performances we see in a Scotland shirt more regularly, or performances we saw in a Glasgow shirt. That mercurial stuff, we just don't see it in a Bath shirt, and it's because he doesn't have to. And I'd like to see it more. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. I think I'm probably less inclined to agree, just because of what a fun game I found this to be.
Because Henry Arundel had one carry in that game, and that was the try he scored.
Well, that is efficient.
Who was their other winger? Like Will Muir didn't get his hands on the ball more than once or twice.
Well, in fairness, David, in the first half, you rather ran them ragged at times, so they didn't have as much ball.
Yeah, but they had an awful lot of the ball in the second half.
Yeah, look,
and Henry Arendel's try was in the first half.
It was. It
would be nice to see these players get an opportunity to play, and it doesn't need to be all about the pack, which, for me is a really difficult thing to say, because I'd love the pack to be, the headline players, but it's just, I just want better. I just want better from Bath.
You just want to see Bath cut loose.
I just want to see Bath cut loose and, playing the Saints way.
Well, if you're a Bath fan, get in touch, ideally directly with David. His mobile phone number is...
Well, you can contact the pod. You can text us. You just click on the link on the description and you can text us straight to us and we can respond next week.
Tell David exactly what you think of him.
That's absolutely fine. Hey, if you're a Bath fan and you're happy for Finn Russell to be having a 6 out of 7 week in, week out, and you're paying £1 million for it every season, then so be it. What else is there? Is there anything else around this game? Obviously, Andrew Brace didn't have his best game. I think it's safe to say that. But I imagine there's decisions both directions that didn't go the ways of the should do. A very influential one in the Pollock situation, you could say. But I know there's question marks around some high shots from Saints players on Bath players, question marks over forward passes, offsides, all that. But that happens every single week in every single game, and people do get too tied down to that sort of stuff. I think it's when it's big decisions that are got wrong, they're the ones that deserve a bit of reflection on, perhaps on Andrew Brace's behalf, but he won't care. Other than that, it was a fantastic advert for Prem Rugby. It was a fantastic game. And it was a really good occasion for Champions Cup, a quarter-final. It was close, it was tense, high scoring, like 43-41. Like, you can't ask for more than that from knockout rugby. It went down to the wire. And all I say is good luck to Bath in the next round. Because, don't get your players too tired for the Prem run-in, because as a Saints fan, that's our only focus now. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
Very magnanimous of you, David. Well, as David said, that did finish 43-41.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about the next game of the weekend, David?
No, we can if you want. I've done my bit.
All right. Well, I'll talk about the next one. So, Glasgow Warriors against Toulon. A game we called wrong. But a good game to watch. Really, really tense. Not quite as high scoring, but no shortage of quality on show. Actually, I thought
this was a real display of defensive might on both sides. I'd say, like, the defenses both sides of the pitch was just very impressive.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I have to say I really enjoyed this one for very dissimilar reasons to the Friday night game. I think Glasgow were excellent to watch at times. Do you know what
they should have done? They should have kicked to the corner more and done more mauls and some close-up carrying, and they really need to tighten the game up and be less exciting.
Yeah, they should have been more efficient.
They should have been more like Bath.
They should have been more like Bath. There's a load of players on the Glasgow side I'd love to call out. I'd pick up some names. I thought Josh Mackay at fullback was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Carl Steyn, really influential again. Captain. Stafford McDowell,
the
13, currently keeping Hugh Jones out of the squad.
Yeah.
Outrageously good. Phenomenal. Do you know what? I always forget how big he is. He is enormous. He's probably about 6'5". But great skill set on him as well. I think he's one that I'd like to see more in the Scottish lineup. Actually, I think him and Tuipulotu dovetailed really well in this game. A player I've not seen loads of. I think probably unfairly I'd dismissed as a bit of a nepotism for being in, particularly in the Racing 92 squad. Dan Lancaster, Stu Lancaster's boy.
Yeah,
he was excellent.
There's a lot. I saw a lot of people talk about this before the game, saying this could be the decision that makes or breaks Franco Smith, because a lot of people thought it was the wrong decision to make, but I think he proved his doubters wrong.
He absolutely stood up to the test on this one. He was superb. I haven't really seen much of him play. I'd heard some grumblings.
He didn't do well at Racing.
No, I'd heard about his time at Racing, and I'd heard some grumblings from Glasgow stuff, but this is the first time I've really seen him play. I thought he was phenomenal. And I'm a big Adam Hastings fan. He's a former Gloucesterman, but no, Dan Lancaster, I really, really enjoyed watching. I thought he was good at 10. I thought he was good when he stepped in at fullback. Kicked really well, ran well. Big fan of his. I thought that was excellent. Afshar at 9, stepping in for, I think, George Horn normally starts.
Yeah,
I've seen bits of Afshar in the European Cup this season, and thought he looked a tidy player. I thought he was excellent in this one. Controlled the game really busy 9. But I think is it Patrick Schickling, the loose head?
Yeah, ex Worcester Warrior.
Ex-Worcester Warrior.
Yeah.
Big hard bastard.
Yeah.
Carries really well. Scrummaged well as well, actually.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Hiddleston at hooker, a player I'm baffled isn't starting for Scotland with his great darts. Ewan Ashman's really good. I think Ewan Ashman would be very good for Scotland, but Tom Hiddleston's darts are perfect at this point.
Gregor Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston's an actor.
Sorry, Gregor Hiddleston. Apologies to Gregor Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston's a very different character. Gregor Hiddleston. I'll just go with Hiddleston. His darts are perfect. I mean, his line-out throwing in competitive atmosphere with the likes of Ribbons and Kapoku and Olivon and Mizzou all challenging. His darts were phenomenal.
Yeah,
he controls the line. I mean, I know Glasgow score a lot of maul tries. I think that's kind of their specialty in the URC in particular. But he just marshals it at the back there. And there is a skill in that, being able to know when to go and know how to manage that maul. So I thought he was excellent again. And in the back row, particularly Rory Darge, just superb. I think Rory Darge is so good on the ball.
He is.
He's so dynamic on the ball.
He's one of these players that it's like he's chronically underrated, but he's also incredibly well rated. It's hard to put your finger on it because
everyone knows he's brilliant, but they're not saying quite how brilliant.
Yeah. Like every single week, every time I see him play, he impresses me tremendously.
Yeah. And then on the Toulon side, Ben White, excellent.
Yeah.
Albanos, excellent. I really like the look of Tuisuvu.
Yeah.
I love watching Senzel because he looks about 45 and he's still brilliant.
Yeah.
And he is a good-looking man for his age. He's great. He's graded really well.
Let's add him to Raw's romantic.
My Rolodex of rugby men I fancy. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Dreyan, impressive once again. I mean, he's just electric on the wing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's unfortunate that he's in such a crowded field for being on the wing for France, but he is absolutely electric. Up front, Gross getting his second try ever, his Toulon career. Nice moment for him. Sinclair and Ribbons rolling back the years, both really, really busy.
I'm assuming you're building to. I was hoping you're building to Kapoku.
Kapoku. I mean, yellow card aside.
Yeah.
God, he's good, but good in it.
Considering
he is really good.
He's 2021. Interesting career. Interesting career he's had. Like, he's bouncing around France. Get him over here.
Pay the money. Get him back. Whatever you've got to do, for God's sake, pay the money.
Did you see the stat that every single carry he made was dominant? He made meters every carry.
It's insane.
He's so good.
Yeah, we have to get him back at some point.
Yeah.
And then the player I'm going to reserve special praise for, though, is actually Nacho Brex.
Yes. His try. His try to win it.
Oh, my God.
He did look like he was running in custard for a little bit of it, but he still managed to get away.
What I love about him, he's so all action.
Yeah.
He's got great he steps up as first receiver constantly. He marshals the defence. He's constantly involved. He's never taken a back seat in play. And then at the end of it, he's just got that bit of magic dust to pull out something like that. That kind of step and the shimmy and then just accelerating into the corner. I thought, annoyingly, I took him out of my fantasy team, which really frustrated me because he hadn't got me loads of points the previous weeks.
I've forgotten about fantasy rugby these last 2 rounds, so it's yours for the taking, Rory.
I'm very middle of the pack. But this was just an absolutely engrossing game. I think Glasgow will be gutted to not have taken more opportunities when they had them.
Quite a few errors.
Quite a few errors at key times, but under pressure from what is a quality Toulon outfit. And, they're a very different club to the one that we watched growing up with the Galacticos.
Yeah.
Very, very different club. But there's something quite magical still about the Toulon name for me, just off the back of that. But you see Toulon are playing and you're like, I do want to watch that.
I do also quite like. There's also like almost like an English link to the Toulons. There's quite a strong core of kind of English-based players, or maybe British-based players, and it's kind of rung true ever since Wilco's been there, and it does kind of gives this like affinity. Yeah, there's an affinity to Toulon that I think most English fans will have and still do to this day, and I think that's part of the magic for me, seeing them go and win against Glasgow, because seeing the likes of David Ribbons, Carl Sinclair, Ben White, Kapoku, it's just lovely. It's lovely. Yeah, Zach Mercer had a great game. It's something I do like Toulon. It's not the Galacticos, but they've built a really interesting squad and they play a really interesting brand of rugby.
Yeah. Then they're not as gung ho as your Bordeaux or Toulouse, but they just, do you know what they are, David? Is they're very efficient in a way that you would have criticised if had they been from somewhere else. But
they definitely don't play the same way, but they are efficient. I don't see Gail Driad scoring 2 tries for Bath, put it that way.
The other thing, the one worth Shoshvili, the Georgian teenager at 8.
Yeah, he's one.
How he's a teenager. Yeah, how he's a teenager and not a sort of 40-year-old UFC heavyweight, I don't know, but he is.
I spotted him in the Under-20 World Cup last year, but I think he played in, and he's one to watch. There's a number of Georgians that are worth watching that are coming through the French academies at the moment. I think he's probably leading the way, because the fact he's an 18-year-old starting, playing for Toulon at 18 in the back row in the Champions Cup final.
That's no easy thing.
No.
If you got Zach Mercer on the bench because he's starting, he's going to be good.
He's going to be good, and he's got a bit more bulking out to do. Although I think Georgians they do their bulking around 9 or 10, don't they?
Yes, I believe those are the bear wrestling years.
Wait, no, is that racist? I don't know. No, surely not.
If you're Georgian, let us know.
Yeah, it's a compliment in any way. But yeah.
Well, there's something about Georgians playing in France.
Yeah.
It's quite. Who was the lad who played for Clermont for Zigashvili, the tight head, grizzled old tight head, played for Clermont for years and years and years. I mean, if anyone checks, he must have been about 50 by the last time he stopped playing for Clermont, and I think it was Zigashvili or something like that, and he just the most gnarled looking prop in the world, and he was just so dangerous at scrum time when Clermont were in their pomp as well.
Yeah. Well, I think it's players like that have just created this reputation for Georgian props just being hard as granite, and they are generally.
Because Gorgodze was at Toulon, wasn't he?
Yeah. I forgot about how good Gorgodze was as well.
What a player!
There's been some seriously good
Sorry,
players.
This isn't reminisce about old Georgian players, but I would appear on that pod if there is one.
Yeah. Invites are welcome to. If there is such a thing, I'm sure there is something somewhere. But yeah, like that Toulon performance, it warmed the cockles, Rory. It warmed the cockles.
Well, I'm looking forward to their semi-final because I'm giving them more than a puncher's chance in that one.
Yes, I think that feels like a good segue into the next game because we've been quite, effusive about some really good rugby over the last 2 fixtures we've just spoken about. The next quarterfinal between Leinster and Sale Sharks, on the other hand,
Nick said good.
It was a struggle. It was okay.
This was a slog.
Credit where credit's due. Sale Sharks really forced Leinster into a really ugly way of playing rugby, and they kept like Sanderson said at the start he just wants to keep Leinster close, and they'd done that up until the half time. Like it was close. There wasn't a score in it. Like so,
it was 7-3 at half time. I mean, it's not the hallmarks of fireworks going off, was it?
It was dour. It was dour.
Yeah. No, I think. Did you see the headline from? Is it Matt Williams, the Aussie coach who knocks around Irish telly at the moment? He's always coming up with awful takes, and I think he accused Sale of being morally repugnant or something in how they approach this competition. I mean, something sounds
like something we'd say.
Yeah, I know. It was such an awful sort of take that I would have said about Bath or Harlequins. And I suspect they just played that in the build-up, and they went, "We'll show them what's morally repugnant," and just decided to go and.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything morally repugnant about that. I think they had a game plan and they executed it actually quite well. They forced Leinster to play uncomfortably, and it led to quite a lot. It wasn't the prettiest game, but Leinster had just as much to do with that as Sale did.
It's just as well only one man and his dog turn up to watch it, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something there. Like, why can't Leinster fill out that stadium? I know they're waiting for the RDS to come available. But that was not a good showing from the Leinster fan base that's supposed to be
barely filled at the bottom tier.
Yeah, not great. But maybe they're just being morally repugnant and not showing Sale Sharks the respect that they warranted for a quarterfinal of a European competition. There's not too much to it. Basically, Leinster's class kind of shone through in the second half where they managed to score a few tries, and then it became a bit more comfortable because they realised that Sale probably didn't have an answer for it, so it was kind of a sure thing.
What I would what's one of the interesting things that has come out of this match, and not many interesting things came out of this match, but Leinster are now down to one loose head in their squad.
Yes, because came on,
who they'd already signed as injury cover. So unless any players are due back before they play Toulon, that could have some very interesting consequences for that battle up front. Carl Sinker would be licking his lips at playing against. I mean, they're talking about bringing people out of retirement, calling them up from the Irish lower leagues. It's dire times for them in the propping department.
Yeah.
We don't have to dwell on this one, do we, David? I mean,
No.
I'll be honest. I don't particularly like Leinster. I never really have.
What I heard, Rory, is that you thought they're morally repugnant.
Morally, I question their character. Often have great players. Sometimes play great rugby. Ruthlessly efficient. A winning machine. But it's hard to. They're a hard team to like. They get it all. They've got it all their own way. It's compared to the likes of Connaught and Ulster and even Munster.
Yeah.
It's all goes Leinster's way, and I just
Yeah. Fine. Rory, knowing the game that talking about this game is holding us up from talking about, I'm more than happy for us to move on to the fourth quarterfinal, which is between.
Yeah, I mean that one finished. In the end, it finished Leinster 43, Sale 13. It was 7-3 at half time. Leinster, broke the Sale resistance early on in the second half and never really looked back. Yeah. But all in all, not one for the archives.
Not at all.
But can we just talk about Bordeaux Toulouse?
So my overall thought from this had hallmarks of like one of the classic heavyweight boxing fights where, to start with, it was kind of two masters of their craft throwing jabs, trying to pick out the weaknesses.
Yeah, they were really boxing at the start, weren't they?
Yeah.
Creating the angles, and
second half comes along, and then here come the haymakers.
They're punch drunk.
Here come the uppercuts. Here come the combos. And it was just an absolute feast. And
it's a good analogy for it, because it's one of those ones where sometimes if you were just to follow this on the teletext, you wouldn't have understood how exciting a game this was to watch. There's something sometimes about watching two of the best teams ever, certainly two of the best teams on the planet right now, duking it out like that, and a game that properly builds to like a full-on crescendo. And Toulouse comes storming out of the blocks. They will be what Toulouse will rue is in that first sort of 15 minutes or so when they were well on top, they couldn't get a score on. Then Lamotta scores line out more, I think it's on about just before the 25-minute mark.
Yeah.
Toulouse go back down the other end of the pitch. Entermac finishes off really well after some really good pressure. But they, just immediately trade in blows. Teddy Thomas scores a lovely one right before half-time. So 5-12 at half-time. And you're like, this could go anywhere at the moment. And then just the magic, Jalibert, Kamefuna, just rolling back the years again.
Yeah.
Retier at the end. But, for me, stars of the show, obviously Sardi's legs. We've talked about Sardi's thighs in the past. But the absolute stars of the show, I thought Woki in the back row was superb. Yeah. It's easy to forget how good a player he is because doesn't get the look in with France so much now, but what a good player he is. Luku, in the battle of Luku-Dupont, Luku came out on top for me.
Yeah, I think and a lot of it was like Luku's breakdown work. Like he was like an absolute pest around the breakdown. Like he was getting jackals in and just disrupting ball. Like maybe every other ruck it felt like he was everywhere.
Imagine a game where Luku isn't considered the best 9 on the pitch. I mean, outrageous. Rayassi at fullback.
Yeah.
I think he's only like 20, 21.
Have you seen the rumours that they might have to release him in order to resign BLBRA's mega contract extension?
Yeah, I mean, everyone get on the
Northampton. Come on.
Yeah. But they were, just superb. On the Toulouse side, I thought Thomas Ramos, I mean, we all know I fancy him.
Yeah, he's in the Rolodex.
Yeah, he's absolutely in the Rolodex. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah.
Chocobares, nails, absolute nails. Malvaca, Jelonch, Kroos, but Jack Willis.
Do you know what the most frustrating thing around this is? It just reaffirms that. Is there any other sport in any other realm where the best club team in World Rugby has their best player in it and doesn't get picked for their international team? Because I firmly believe Jack Willis is the best player in that Toulouse team, including Dupont. Because I think this season, for certain, he's been more influential than Dupont has, and Entermac and anyone else in that team.
Well, I don't know if you caught it on comms. It was a bit of a flippant comment, but they were saying that in training, whenever there's short-sided games or there's, they're doing run-throughs or whatever it is, everyone always wants Jack Willis on their team, and he's the first one they're after before even Dupont.
Yeah.
So Jack Willis is the one that they all want.
I'm starting to think that I've said for a while that like Dupont maybe best player in the world. I think Jack Willis has got to be in that conversation.
He's got to be in the conversation at this point
because he's so good. And this is in a losing team.
At this point, not picking him and Tom Willis is a dereliction of duty by the RFU.
All they need to do is just put some sort of clause into this system so it's in moments of extreme class, a player can be picked if they are based outside of...
Make it the Willis rule. You're a Willis brother and you're brilliant. You can play for England wherever you are.
Because it feels like an absolute travesty that these players are not going to play for England when they are clearly good enough. And if we genuinely have hopes of winning competitions, we're just shooting ourselves in the feet not selecting these players. Because they level up any team they're in. Just look.
Yeah, I mean, he levels up Toulouse. That's how good he is. He levels up Toulouse.
And they're the best team in the world. Well, although they did lose.
Yeah, they did lose. And to be fair, Bordeaux...
Bordeaux may be the best team in the world,
Were, I mean, I don't know where you start to analyse them. There is no weakness in their game. Jefferson Poirot at times is like a 6, but whilst also be able to scrummage against Aldeguerri. His red card was a big turning point.
Although Toulouse played some of their best rugby when they had 14 men as well, which is odd.
Yeah, look, they're perverse. They're a perverse team. It's difficult to know what to make of Toulouse at times because the moments when they're good, it's just outrageous. But you got Adam Coleman in the second row, just demon in the line out, parrying well, Harlew as well. I don't know how to analyse them, honestly, David. I think I need you to step in for a moment and try and analyse them because it's not really a sentence, it's a sensation watching Bordeaux at the moment.
It's a really odd one because they don't necessarily do like the miraculous stuff that you see from Toulouse, But I think it's a mixture of they are absolutely ferocious at the breakdown. So I think a name that you haven't quite picked, like mentioned there, like so I think Boshaton.
Yes.
His work at the breakdown is unreal, and they just make every single ruck an absolute contest, physical mess. Like their set piece is so solid, so strong. And then when you've got Luku and Jalabert at 9-10, you have to remember like they were playing with Deporter, who is injured and who should be back for the semi-final. They slot Penno in at 13.
Yeah.
Like what team can just slot Penno in at 13? And then you got Ryasi at fullback. Bertie on one wing, BLBRA on the other, and like this isn't even their full strength backline. And then they are I think it's almost like the defence that they absolutely suffocated Toulouse at times. Like what teams we saw what Toulouse did last week, they absolutely tore up.
Yeah,
and they just suffocated Toulouse. And I think a big part of Bordeaux's game that doesn't probably get the credit because a lot of the headlines are BLBRA's kick chase and his ability to score tries from anywhere, Jalabert's magic. It's their defence. And it's the fact that they are absolutely ferocious and they stop everything at source, it seems, which is at the ruck. Because I think what they do at ruck time is better than anyone else in club rugby. And I think that's why they are so good and so hard to beat. And I think that's why Bath don't have a chance in hell. Because I don't think a team in England, France, Scotland or Ireland has got a team able to match it at the moment. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't know who beats Bordeaux at the moment.
No. Oh.
I don't think any club team in the world beats Bordeaux.
No, not as it stands. And I think of the teams left in the competition, it feels like a pretty safe bet where the trophy's staying this year, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think you're right. Look, Bath will go down to Bordeaux.
They'll try. They'll do their best.
Absolutely believing that they can go and win that game. And look, bigger upsets have happened. But they will have to be at 110% in the game. Like the thing for Bath in that game is they will have to be so emotionally on it in that one that it actually could put paid to their ability to defend the Prem title.
Yeah,
you may not be able to summon enough energy to do that. I mean, maybe Bath would say, well, they've got a squad that can rotate that well enough to handle it. But
I think we saw in the Saints game, because I think Northampton are probably the first team in a while that I've seen. They, other than one penalty, they had an answer to the Bath scrum and the Bath line out. Bordeaux will not have any. Like they'll probably target the Bath scrum because I don't think. I think we're starting to see the impact of them losing Will Stewart for the season because Billy Seller is going to be a great tight head prop, but he doesn't have that. He doesn't
do it against Jefferson Poirot, probably not.
And then the Toy came off the bench and he wasn't able to turn the tide as much as he has on the other part. Bordeaux will have the answers to that. When you've got Tammy Funu and Carly Sadie and Poirot and I can't remember who the other prop is, Peugeot, I think it is.
Peugeot, yeah.
Like Bordeaux aren't going to be worried, and that's what they did to Northampton. They absolutely terrorised the Northampton scrum, and Northampton had the answer to the Bath scrum. So I think the weapons that Bath use as their groundwork, their base, probably aren't going to be that effective against Bordeaux. And when you're playing in Bordeaux itself, it's a tough assignment. But I hope they go for it because I think you're right. I think if they did want to go for it and they wanted to go full throttle for it, they're going to have to make some compromises with their Prem form and maybe give up top spot in the league in the playoffs, for instance, or something like that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Look, we may get a foot race against BOBRA and Arundel.
Oh, lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Who wins that? I'd love to see it.
BOBRA. I want to see it.
I want to see it. I think that's probably as close a competition as we're going to see between two wingers in that sort of race. Certainly a full-length race would be full length of the pitch. But yeah, so that's the quarterfinals, Rory.
3 out of 4 of those games were brilliant.
Yeah, which is more than we could have asked for because sometimes this competition doesn't serve the spectacles we wanted. And actually, I'd say the last 2 weeks we've been spoilt.
We've had some really good games last 2 weeks.
Really good games. So fair play. Well done. Well done to the clubs involved for putting on the shows. Now, slight change of pace, Rory. Before we move on to talking about England's women, a nice little game of What a Ranker. Now, last week I introduced this new game for us. It's something to break up the content. It's all about giving Rory 40-ish seconds to give me a list of clubs, players, rugby-related things in order, from lowest
Can I
to
have
highest.
Can I have at least 2 seconds to comprehend what it is I'm being asked this time?
Yes, absolutely. I'll give you a bit of time. So this week, Rory, I'm going to give you 45 seconds, and the challenge I have for you, and this is a challenge that I'm going to put out to a listener if they wish to participate, is in 45 seconds, I want you to name as many players as you can without crossing over the barrier of not being in the right order of shortest to tallest in world rugby. This can be women's players, men's players, sevens players. I want you to list as many players you can that remain in order, going from shortest to tallest.
Currently playing now?
Can be former players. I just want anyone who's played rugby, and I want to see how many players you can name from that shortest player to the tallest, and keep it in that order. And how many do you think you could do?
Oh, that's tough. I'll have a go. I reckon I can hit double figures.
Double figures, okay. You have 45 seconds starting now.
Okay, I'll start Lucas Friday, Antoine Dupont, Billy Searle, Jack Van Poorfleet, Damien Dialende, Rico Ioane, Chandler Cunningham South, Charlie Yules, Nate Williams, Adam Coleman, 4-story Rory. Who's it? Rory Arnold.
Time's up, Rory.
Luke Charteris.
Time's up. You don't get Luke Charteris. Well, thanks to the power of editing, Rory, I'm about to tell you your results. Now,
go on.
There's going to be some frustration here. So Lucas Friday starts off at 1.76 metres.
Yeah.
I fear he may have grown since you last watched him play, because he is actually 2 centimetres taller than Anton Dupont, who's only 1.74.
Oh, no, he was the shortest player I could think of.
So you've actually failed at the first hurdle. What I will do is there is credit in the bank here. So Billy Searle's 1.78, so that's a 4 centimetre incremental increase. Van Poorfleet's 1.83. Damien Dialende's 1.89. Rico Ioane's also 1.89, so I'll give you that one. That's not going down. Cunningham South's 1.96. Charlie Yules 1.99, so that's a solid 6 in a row. That's good going. Unfortunately, Elliot Williams is only 1.96 m, but he is only 18, so I'll let him off. Adam Coleman's 2.07 m, and Rory Arnold's 2.08 m. So there's some really good small increments you've done there, but there's just a couple.
I can't believe I failed at the first hurdle. I'm so rubbish.
So unfortunately, your score is 1. If anyone thinks they could do better at Rory at a similar sort of game, please.
Just go Lucas Friday, Rory Arnold.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, but that's a bit of fun. I think that's better than last week's effort, I'd say. A bit more fun. A bit more fun for everyone involved. Now we've got that light-hearted banter out the way, Rory. Let's talk Red Roses. Let's talk serious rugby. Obviously, the Six Nations women's iteration kicked off this last weekend. And it's only fair that we at least give, being very conscious of the time we got available to us, we at least talk about the Red Roses and their fixture against Ireland in their efforts to defend their title.
Yeah, look, I think first and foremost, comprehensive win in front of 72,000 fans.
77, I think it was in the end, wasn't it?
77 in the end, was it? Blimey. So, firstly, amazing effort to get that many down there. I think that must be by some distance a record in the Women's Six Nations.
Yeah, got
Ireland are a tricky side. They've got some really quality players, the likes of Aoife Wafer, Jugang, Erin Lane. Is it Erin Lane at 9?
Yeah.
O'Brien is a really good 10, I think. Erin King, I think it is at 7. There's a lot of really, really good players in that team. And this is a different team to the one that won the World Cup in last year. So there are some changes to that team, partly through absences through pregnancies, partly through retirements. The coaching setup's different. They had to overcome a couple of quite nasty tournament-ending injuries to Mo Hunt and Morwenna Talling, is it?
That's the one. Yeah. And she plays in the position they really don't want to lose anyone because
where they're now looking. There's a real dearth of experience in the second row. So look, to win 33-12 is no mean feat in those circumstances, and some really commendable displays in there. I thought Roland at 12 was and 12 and wing and everywhere else she stepped in at was really good. Kicked her goals really well. Scored a couple of really good touch finders. I think Jess Breach showed some really good toe for her try. It's sometimes when you're seen alongside Ellie Kildung.
Yeah.
It's often hard to be seen as quick, and she got a real opportunity to open the taps and put the afterburners on. It was good to see. I thought Maloney McDonald, really nice touch for Sarah Burns' second try. And you had a lot of the same things that you expect from England performances. The pack was combative and great at the set piece and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think it came together exactly as they would have wanted.
No, I think
there's growth in the performance, or room for growth in the performance, I should say. But this winning machine just rumbles on. The Red Roses. I think the challenge for them is, can they develop into an all court kind of game? I know Meg Jones has kind of thrown that gauntlet down at the start of the tournament. Mm-hmm. They haven't succeeded entirely in this game. Flashes of it, but the players are certainly there. I think when you've got the likes of Lucy Packer and Holly Aitchison as your halfbacks, there's enough excitement in that team to pull something like that off. But probably, I suspect they'll come away with, like all sort of ruthless winning machines do, they'll come away with as many frustrations in their performance as that's on the back for the win.
Yeah. I do also think, I kind of stand by what I said last week, that I do think the competition's catching up to a degree. I think the likes of Ireland are getting better. I think we saw it in the other games, like the France-Italy game was actually quite close.
Wales, it was 5-0 at half-time. Wales would be disappointed not to have won that game against Scotland. I don't know if you saw some of the under-18 results last week. France beat the French under-18s, beat the England under-18 something like 75-7.
There's a lot
and the
to be
Italian
said about
the Italian under-18s also, I believe, beat the England under-18s.
Yes, I think there's a lot to be said about French and Italian age grade rugby at the moment, both of which, men's and women's, getting the better of the English counterparts at that under-18 Six Nations tournament. Obviously, I don't want to dwell too much on all that sort of stuff, because there's lots of reasons for why that may be. But I think French and Italian and similarly Spanish rugby are definitely all going in the right direction in the youth setups. They're all doing some really interesting and good stuff. And I think French rugby's in a strong position right now. They could be getting stronger, which could be a bit of a concern for Six Nations competition. But it's up to the RFU and the other home nations to come up to answers for that.
You have to respond. Yeah,
But yes, there's a very impressive machine whirring through the French age grade system at the moment. And it's interesting, as you say. Yeah, I did spot that 85-point thrashing by French under-18 women. That doesn't happen very often to English sides. It's one to keep an eye on for sure. But the senior Italian women really ran the French women close. And
it doesn't look like it if you just look at the final score. But the fact that it was 7-0 at half time. I think you can see where depth and fitness and maybe some strength in kind of structures around the setup were in favour of France. But that Italian side are no mugs. There's some really, really good players in there, and they ran them really close. So Wales would be gutted not to have won the game. Scotland would be relieved, and we know that Scotland are a hot and cold team, so to win games like that is actually quite an achievement for them at times, because they don't necessarily cope with the pressure as well in those moments. But England, getting over the line in a game like that with lots to work on, but lots to be happy about, is not a bad position for them to be in. No. They'll still be confident about going unbeaten in this tournament, but with I think probably one eye on the France game in a few weeks as certainly going to be their biggest test. But I think you should never complain when you win, and 33-12 is a good win against any Irish side as far as I'm concerned.
I completely agree. I think the main thing for me is I think that the Irish side looked a lot better than they have done in previous years. So.
No, I think you're seeing the benefit in the Irish side of more of those players being involved in the PWR. something which potentially benefits some other nations around the world, Canada, New Zealand, best.
Well, there's a reason they're all coming to that competition.
Yeah, there's a lot of Welsh players in that league, particularly in Gloucester. The strength of that competition is it's an interesting effect that it's going to have on the wider competition. Actually, to an extent, the RFU are going to have to start thinking about, okay, well, how do we kind of protect our own pipeline here? But
the opposite problem of how do we make sure enough of our players are playing rather than the ones not leaving and not selecting the ones abroad. It's like, how do we make sure we can get them all playing in our domestic?
Thank God the RFU is so well set up to deal with such a dichotomy of problems.
But something you said in the past, like women's rugby they do things differently in women's rugby. Did you see the TIFO? I don't even know what a TIFO is, but do you see that thing they had up Twickenham? Like, it's a big banner that gets raised in the stand, a bit like you see in like German football.
Oh, right, yes, okay.
I thought it's just another example of women's rugby innovating and trying something different.
And, not being afraid to have a bit of fun with it.
Exactly. So more of that, please.
It doesn't have to just be about,
gravy ties,
or, if I'm honest, the things that I tend to do at rugby games, which is drinking 12 pints of Guinness. You can just go and have a good time watching rugby.
Apparently so. And then that's a Gloucester fan saying that.
I'm going to still drink the Guinness, but I'm glad that other people have found their own ways to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we'll look forward to the rest of the competition, Rory, and see how the Red Roses fare. As you say, I think that matchup against France in a couple of weeks' time is probably the key one. But from a Red Rose perspective, I'd still be hoping that they go unbeaten. But will remain to be seen. But this has been actually a jam-packed podcast for us, Rory.
We've got through it. We've got through some stuff there.
Most of it has been me moaning about Bath, but that's fine. I'm happy to wear that. But do you have any final thoughts for the listener before we bring the podcast to a close?
I would like to be the curator for this year's charity Naked calendar from the top 14, and I get to pick all the players I want to see in it.
And on that note, listener, that's the end of this episode. We've been Ruxballs and Overballs. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and all those other fun things. And we'll be back again next week with some Prem Rugby content. Ta-ra.